Right on, guys. This is another video. They're all going to be pretty close together. Um, I'm basically doing them all on the same day, so it didn't look like a lot has changed. Um, so basically, I'm going to go through where my problem started. It's all urological, urinary problems. Male and female, we might be able to relate to it. It's a very strange set of symptoms. So um, basically, I've always had a bit of a sensitive bladder. Got to be careful not to drink strong fruit juice. The cold bothers me. I've had old cups of tea that bothered me. We went out to Lanza in 2020 and I made a mistake of drinking the mains water, which bothered me a little bit. But never anything that hasn't lasted more than a few hours, gone away, and I've been back to normal sort of thing. So anyway, late part of February 2021, for those that know, those who just aware, I'm a builder for a living mainly. I am an engineer as well, but I mainly build. So I'm out working in the cold and the wet and extremely strenuous jobs. You're always covered in cement and such like. Anyway, I woke up one morning just like any other morning. I think I'd had some cherry aids, some ciders night before. Not a big drinker, not like that. Not big on fizzy drinks. Drink a lot of tea. Got up about 5 o'clock, went for a pee as normal, come back to bed. I woke up 7:15 because I was working that Sunday, and I rolled over in bed and felt something was different. Something just didn't feel right in my bladder. I thought initially I had trapped wind. Eating something I do occasionally get trapped wind. I thought, oh well, no, putting a bit of pressure on my bladder. Got up, went toilet. I thought it'll move in a minute or two. Peeing a bit more than I should do. And I thought, well, it's just a trap wind. Anyway, I went to work and it was quite a cold day. And I thought, I'm peeing quite a lot here. I was peeing probably about every 20 minutes, every half an hour at best, really. This went on all day. Sort of settled a bit into the evening. I couldn't settle during the night. I thought, perhaps I'm passing the bladder stone. Perhaps I've got a water infection. So I stayed up on the sofa through the night, drinking more fluids, up and down, up and down, up and down for a pee. Went into work on my normal site on the Monday. Again, not really a lot better. Again, sort of settled in the evening. And another night that was unsettled. Again, up and down, up and down, up and down, sleeping on the sofa. The third day, I thought this is something's going on here. It's getting a bit ridiculous. And again, it was settling into the evening, but something wasn't right. And I went up to Tesco's, picked up some bits for my wife's birthday, and I got to Tesco's and I thought, I'm breaking my neck. I rushed to the toilet and struggled to go for a pee, so much so I had to sit on the toilet and go for a pee. And I thought I'd better get round Tesco's quick. I no sooner walked across the store to pick up some bits, and I thought I'm going to pee myself, so I had to rush back to the gents again. Lucky it's not a horrendously massive store. And again, sat on the toilet and peed again. And I thought something isn't right here, so bought me bits quickly and rushed out to the van. Lucky I got a big van. I had to then pee in a bucket again in the back of the van. I managed to sit in the van. I thought I'll leave things settled because I was due to go out and see a customer that evening. I rang me missus, so I think we better see if we can get hold of out of hours doctor. I said, because I got an infection, I'm passing the bladder stone. I said, there's something really wrong, really, because this has been going on for a few days now. So I thought, well, I'll go out and see my customer. I drove out to Mullion, or just on the outskirts of Mullion. I no sooner been out the van 5 minutes. I said to the customer, I'm breaking my neck for a pee. And I went round the corner. I was peeing like a steer. It had been the first time in a few days I'd actually peed with any quantity or any power. And I finished and I thought, I actually feel much better. So I thought perhaps I have passed a bladder stone or a kidney stone. I said to the customer, go make us a cup of tea. And by the time I finished what I was doing there, I wasn't brilliant, but I did feel better. So I thought, oh, this is not so bad, really, sort of thing. Anyway, I got home and run 111, and they said, can you do a urine sample? I did a urine sample, I took that into the doctor, he checked, and he said, well, he said, there's not really any sign that you've passed a bladder stone, no blood, no infection. My blood pressure was extremely raised. It was 164 over 90, over 100, I can't remember. It was high, not stupidly high, but it was high enough. Checked my bladder for distension, and basically couldn't really find anything wrong with me. But I did, by that point, I was feeling much better. So I thought, oh, well, this is not so bad. No. So they said, I'll go back to your doctors. We recommend you have a full blood test done, check your blood pressure. By the time I went to the doctors, my blood pressure had come back down to normal. They did a full bloods, and come back clear. So we went on a couple of weeks, and I noticed my flow wasn't brilliant. I couldn't tell so much difference in the capacity, but I was, peeing with not a lot of pressure, basically, sort of thing. No, struggling not to pee on my jeans, and not to pee on my boots. Obviously, I work outside, so pee wherever you can, basically. Obviously, you stand over the toilet. You've got to really stand over the toilet so you don't pee on the floor. And I thought, and I was leaking. No, this is for kids, but I've got to use sort of half medical terms. I was leaking what you when you describe really as pre-cum, really after peeing, which I never done before. And I looked up the symptoms and I thought, there's a possibility I've got prostatitis. I'm over 30. It's not impossible. I had lower back pain and pain in my shaft. Not horrendous, but it was there all the same. Because originally, when it all happened, I thought I pulled a muscle in my pelvis, but obviously it wasn't a pulled muscle. And I rang the doctor, and he said, we'll get you in for some more blood tests. I think I went in for a specific blood test to see if my body's capable of making bladder stones. I had a urine culture done, again to check I had no infection, no bacteria, stuff like that. I had 24-hour urine samples where you basically collect everything you pee over 24 hours. This point I think was pushing. This had gone on, it's gone on for a few weeks now. I think it was pushing like late April, middle of April. I had 24-hour urine samples done. So basically, you have two cans, one day, one the other day, and they filter it and they sample it for minerals and anything you can think of that could be in your urine. Again, that all came back clear, and that was about the time I think I noticed my capacity was down, because you got to pee into a jug or container. I found it easy to pee into a jug, and I thought, I'm really only passing 300 mils of breaking my neck, and I knew I'd been passing a lot more than that before my problem started. A lot more than that, certainly 400 or 500 mils, what you'd expect an average bloke to pass, basically, which was obviously concerning me then. The fact I lost capacity. Again, went back to the doctors. Now, I'm not one for bothering the doctors, but I had literally been on the phone on and off, tried this, tried that. Now, it was getting to me, sort of thing. No, I was having bouts of emergency frequency by this point, recurring every 5 to 6 days, which wasn't a problem on site. Sometimes it'd be in the morning, sometimes it'd be in the evening, sometimes it'd be the middle of the day. Was made me very wary. We were still in lockdown at this point, so there was if the places that were open, a lot of public toilets were closed, so I had to go places where I knew I could go for a pee. I was having to really restrict what I drank before I went out, what I drank when I went out. I think well, at this point I'd already given up alcohol, given up fizzy drinks, and I think I'd gone over to decaf tea to try and remove any aggravants. I think I had a month on the FODMAP diet to check it wasn't any foods bothering me. One of my doctors tried me a week just drinking tea, a week just drinking basically plain water with a drop of hint of squash in it. I think I tried a week of water antibiotics, and they booked me in for a bladder scan anyway, because I suffer from a rare genetic anomaly, bifid urethra. So basically, I've got two holes in my bell end as opposed to one. That'll be brought up on my cystoscopy video, basically. But there's different types. So I you know at the time I didn't know what type I had. So I thought, oh, perhaps there's something's just a stricture or something's happened internally. So they sent me for a bladder scan. You've got to go. I chose to go to my local cottage hospital because you have to go with a full bladder. And given my problems, you don't really want to be going with a full bladder. I think I had to pee 3 times before I went in to be scanned. But they scan your bladder full, then you empty it, then they scan your bladder empty, and they found I only had one bladder, which was fine. The prostate looked fine. Bladder was emptying fine. There was no sign of stones or anything that looked particularly nasty under the ultrasound anyway. So I rang the doctor. I said, look, this has all come back clear. What do we do? So he said, well, perhaps we'll get you in for a prostate exam. Went in, had prostate exam, examined all my undercarriage as they do. I'd had a bit of redness on my foreskin, which was treated with metazone furoate, which may or may not have triggered my problems. It'd been there for a while and had been there before my problem started. It may have been related, it may not have been related. Like I said, I work in the building industry. My hands are covered and everything. The clothes are covered and everything. I've been working in the wet weather, so clothes have been wet. No, unfortunately, no. Us blokes that work outside, working. No, when I used to work as an engineer a lot, my shaft was always covered in grease and oil. So no, things are getting covered more or less as bad as your hands. So no, if you got to do these sort of jobs, you know what it's like. No, you've got to come home and wash everything quite thoroughly. But I'd never had any problems before. So I still was having this lower back pain and still leaking. What I can only describe really as pre-cum, seminal fluid, I suppose, probably more medical term for it really. After peeing mainly, which I never had before. Obviously, no. I'm in a sexual relationship with my wife, so we're not going to go too in depth with nocturnal emissions on that kind of stuff, sort of thing. So it was not it's not something I should have had basically. So the doctor put me on a course of trimethoprim, and he was very, very reluctant to refer me to a urologist. And I think I finished a trimethoprim, which seemed to sort out leaking seminal fluid. So it could have been about a prostatitis. The flow was still not improved. The capacity was still as it was, and I think this was in the early June. I think I'd had enough really. I thought I'm not going to be messed around. I paid to go and see urologist up at our local Ramsey Healthcare hospital, which is up in Truro. A chap called Matthew Hodgson. He's a very, very good urologist. And I went up to him and spieled it all off, and he sort of agreed with me everything the doctor had done to get to the bottom of it, sort of thing. And he was quite gave me another physical examination and a prostate exam and all the usual bits and pieces they do as part of the examination. And again, thought it was very strange. And these symptoms that suddenly appeared, because basically that's what they had. I woke up one morning and everything changed, basically. And I'd not been right since, really. It'd just been a gradual deterioration. The doctor by this point had put me on mirabegron or Migma as it's called, at 25 mils, and it had basically cut out the urgency and frequency episodes to the point life was bearable again. I started to be a little bit careful about what I drank, but it was bearable. So I want to try on a course of tamsulosin as well. Basically, this is what they give the blokes in their 50s and 60s and older. They've got large prostate or prostate problems. Basically, it relaxes all your bladder and your prostate. Downside of it, you get dry ejaculation. Strange, weird. It's no good if you want to conceive. I don't want kids. My wife can't have kids, so that's not really a problem. So I went on a course of that, and he put me in for a flow test, which I could have had at the Dutch hospital for 150 quid, which is quite fair price, really. In the end, the chap at the Dutch hospital went ill, and I had to wait quite a few weeks to have it done down at Penn's aunts at a local urology clinic. I shall include the flow test in this video, and then my other videos will include my cystoscopies and my neurodynamics. It's too much to cram into one video, really. So I did the course of tamsulosin. Didn't really feel any better. It was supposed to be there to help me pee more. When I'm breaking my neck, I was struggling to pee, so it sort of helped, but didn't help. So I only did the one course. And obviously, I then went for my flow test. Obviously, those are, if you've never been for a flow test before, it's not anything major, really. They recommend you go with a full bladder, but the urology clinics are very flexible. These aren't like going into outpatient departments sort of thing. No, I made the mistake of drinking a lot before I left, got down a break in my neck, as I do, trying to find where I had to go, rushed in. They somehow managed to confuse my paperwork because I've been booked in at the Duchy, and they was trying to, oh, well, you are booked in, Mr. Bew, but we haven't got your paperwork here, blah, 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 blah. I said, look, I need to pay. So they quickly shoved me in the test room. Basically, it's just a funnel with a load of electrics in it over a jug on a stand. Ladies, if you go, you'll probably be set up in a commode so you can sit on it. I'm not the tallest of guys at 5'3", and I had to sort of drop my gear onto it as opposed to stand over it. Obviously, if you're 6 foot, it's not going to be a problem. And you just, all the electrics that record it all outside. You're left alone. No, like you're going for a pee ordinarily, and you just go how you normally go. There's no point fiddling it or trying to do something different. Obviously, once you've gone, you go out, and the nurse takes you into a separate room with a special ultrasound. This is not your usual ultrasound like you would get with a bladder scan or baby scan. It is a very specific ultrasound unit, and it scans your residue in your bladder. I think at the time, mine was about 9900 mils. The safe limit is 150. They have come across people that have got massive residues even after emptying and comfortable, but ordinary going on, your residue should be 150 mil or less, which mine was, and I had a printout, and then they sit you down in the room. I take the bottle of squash with me, which I sip from. If you're struggling to pee, there's plenty of water on hand. As I said, it's a very flexible, even though you're booked in for a time. If you get there early and want to drink, you get there on time and need to have more to drink. It's not because it's such a quick process. If you had to sit there for half an hour and pee, they just let you go for a pee when you need to. Because I drank so much before I left, basically I hadn't sat down more than 10 minutes. I needed to go for a pee again because they have to do 2 tests. So again, went in to the toilet and peed through the flow test and the printout, and I think both my flow tests were 8 to 10 mils a second. A healthy male should be between 19 to 21 mils a second with what they call a pitch scale, which slow, fast, and then tapers off. And mine was more spikes, diminishing, across the test. So the flow test basically showed that there was, for the first time, actually showed that there was something wrong. It was proved that was wrong. Up till now, it basically been my word for it, really. It's almost been deemed a hypochondriac. Because every test I had, you normal, there's nothing wrong with you, normal, can't find nothing wrong with you. So anyway, these test results went back to Mr. Hodgson, and then he ordered a flexible cystoscopy, which I will cover in my next video. I said, no, this is a very strange set of symptoms. At this point, they still weren't too sure what was causing the problem. I shall go into that maybe a bit more in a cystoscopy video. But yeah, if you can relate to these problems, I'm very sympathetic. You don't get a lot of sympathy. People try and compare it to, oh, you've only got overactive bladder, or it's a bit like being over 50, or it's like a woman who had 3 kids sort of thing. I am a very fit and healthy 35, well, at the time, a 33-year-old. This sort of stuff does not happen to fit and healthy 33-year-olds. And even the nurse, when I went to my bladder scan, said we would expect this of maybe someone in the 60s or the 70s, or maybe a woman who'd had, 3 or 4 kids naturally, sort of thing. But she said we would not expect to see a man of your age here with these kind of problems. This is not normal. Now, if you've got these kind of problems and you're my age or you're younger and you're certainly under 50, this is not normal. I pestered my doctor and pestered my doctor. Lucky I got a doctors that you can ring in the morning and get a telephone appointment. You're not having to book appointment weeks in advance. Not everyone's going to be that lucky, unfortunately, sort of thing. And I wasn't prepared to wait on the NHS. I did pay the money to go and see a private urologist, and I would advise you, really, if you aren't getting anywhere with a doctor, to go and see a private urologist. Mine cost me about 190 quid for private consultation, and then they put you back into the NHS again if you can't afford the treatments. I had a quote for a flexible cystoscopy on the Dutch hospital. It was like 1,800 quid for a 20-minute procedure. It was a lot of money. No, I couldn't afford that. Some people could, and I could have had one the following week. So I had to sit in the list with everyone else, basically. But blokes, if you've got these kind of problems, it is not normal. You don't have to put up with it. Now, yes, end of the day, I'm quite I don't care a lot for my modesty, really, sort of thing. No, I'm not not a nudist or nothing like that. But if you've got to go and flop your gear out in front of a male or female doctor or urologist, sort of thing, and go for these kind of tests, you're better off doing that and knowing what's going on, because when you've got problems like I have, where they are really affecting your quality of life, you've got to get them sorted. You just as well get them sorted, because they aren't going to go away, and if anything, they're going to get worse. Certainly, if you're over the age of 50, sort of thing, you could be developing prostate problems and prostate cancer and one thing. You need to get this stuff checked out. Lucky I had not passed any blood, so there wasn't so much of a panic. My dad was rushed in for a cystoscopy years ago when he first had his heart attack, because they found minute amount of bloods in his urine. He had a cystoscopy, and they reckon he had a weak blood vessel in his kidney or his bladder. And as long as they don't find any more blood in his urine samples than what they expect, they didn't think nothing more of it, basically. But if you start getting blood in your sperm or blood in your urine, sort of thing, they are a bit more worried then, because it's likely there is something more sinister going on. Because I had none of that, there was not any real major panic, which doesn't help when this has been, by the time I got booked in my cystoscopy was September, and this had started the end of the February. So although I was on the tablet, sort of thing, life had been bad for quite a long time. Righto, guys, I'll check in again with you on the next video. Cheers and bye.